So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. Storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins, won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? It's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it. I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it all. Storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it. Fuse like a magnet, lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. I send the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes. I take shots to the top, I'll get it, I got look back, cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change, slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
All right, y'all, happy Tuesday. September 30th, T-7 for the GameStop warrant distribution. Welcome back to the show. Getting a couple things set up here. GameStop, been kind of all over the place today. Currently trading at 27.17. High of the day, 27.33 at market open. And 26.80 around lunchtime. Nice little recovery. Let's just compare this daily graph to the SPY real quick. A little bit more of a dip than the SPY took midday, so that's kind of interesting to note. The other warrant play that we have launching in 7 days is Bed Bath & Beyond. And let's get the right ticker up here, BBBY. Bed Bath & Beyond up 4.44% on the day. How they doing since they announced their warrant? Mostly down. The other interesting ticker over the past couple days has been Wolf Speed. Man, oh man. I provided some coverage on the Wolfspeed bankruptcy back in May and June. Very uncertain how this would turn out because Wolfspeed was going to be valued in the court process and then recapitalized and relaunched. The existing stock that people were holding at $1 would be canceled and they would get a new distribution based on the revaluation, but they would only get 3 to 5% of that new valuation. And for some reason, I don't know, all these months go by, people, I guess, couldn't be bothered to go read, or maybe they just didn't understand. There's a lot of people that buy bankruptcy stocks that don't really understand the documents. And they woke up Monday morning to see, the stock was trading at $17.20, $8, ranging 8, 17, 20. And some of their brokers had not updated their share count, so they still thought they had their 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 shares, and they start selling at $14, 15, 16. Only to realize once their broker updated their share count that they only had 75 shares, not 1,000, not 10,000, because of the recapitalization. And it was not a reverse split. It was a pro rata distribution of the new valuation. And so what they ended up finding out is these retail traders shorted themselves. They shorted the stock. Because they were selling 1,000 at 14, but they only had 75 in their account. And now you're forced to go buy back in at any price. Ouch. The last time I saw something this catastrophic happen to retail traders similar was COSM, and that one actually was a reverse split that was announced the night before, and not all of the brokers had time to properly readjust the share counts, but they allowed trading and people sold shares that they didn't actually have. And they got those trades walked back. But some people in the last day or so have had their trades backed out by the broker. Others got a bill for inadvertent short sell. What is the new valuation of Wolfspeed going to ultimately settle at? I don't know. That's anybody's guess. We're at a market cap right now of 4.7 billion. No, that's not right, because the float's only 25 million shares. 25 million shares times today's price, roughly 750 million is the market cap. This shares outstanding is not correct. A lot of brokers have not updated that just yet. So maybe, maybe I wish I would have bought it $8. We learned from the COSM debacle. We learned from this. Maybe next time I'll have a little more confidence to jump in when we see this kind of funny business going on. Boomstick says warrant countdown. Yes, T-7. Remember, Thursday, October 2nd is the last day that you can buy GameStop shares so that they can be T+1 settled and in your name on Friday, the date of record, October 3rd. Someone asked me a good question yesterday. Could you sell your shares on Friday? I don't know why you would want to, but I think that you could, yeah. Because the data record is end of business Friday the 3rd, but if you were to sell some shares on Friday, it won't be T+1 until Monday. So they'll still be in your name on Friday. I'm not taking any of those kind of chances. I mean, if it ran up to 40 or 50 or 60 bucks on Friday, I might reconsider my statement, but I don't know. I mean, why are y'all thinking about selling on Friday? That would be my second question. Boomstick says, is this going to be a nothing burger like most things that happen? What are my thoughts? I don't know that it will be a nothing burger. Back on September 9th, when they announced it, I said, expect some positive price momentum leading up to the 3rd or the 7th, maybe. But after that, I was not going to make any firm predictions because I don't know how heavy any shorting pressure might be or sell-off pressure. The buy the rumors, sell the news type thing. There are accounts out there on social media that are calling for a warrant short squeeze. I am not one of those accounts. I'm not predicting a short squeeze because of warrants. I did predict, this is not difficult. Most of y'all probably predicted it too. I'm not saying I'm some genius here, but FOMO and retail interest and excitement about these warrants, even if it's a positive misunderstanding excitement, will tend to drive the price up. And then I don't know what will happen after that. What I do know is there is a lot of misinformation, and I've had a little back and forth with some of these people on Twitter over the past couple days they're saying the OCC has hard capped the warrants at 59 million. You can't create synthetic warrants, blah, 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 blah. The OCC does not set the cap of warrants, first of all. There's ways I know these people don't know what they're talking about. They're just, let me go to AI and create a fancy infographic and put it out there to get some social media engagement. And they don't care if they're wrong. They don't care if they're wrong. They will not even talk about it. They'll call it crime next week if they're wrong. The OCC does not set the cap of the warrants. Who sets it? GameStop. They told us on September 9th, 59 million will be distributed. GameStop sets the cap. The OCC is just a options clearing organization. Options clearing and settlement really have nothing to do with the warrants, which is another reason I know these accounts don't really know what they're talking about. Third reason I know they don't know what they're talking about is they're saying you cannot create synthetic warrants. You absolutely can create synthetic warrants. Once that ticker is tradable, GMEWS, it can be shorted. It can be failed to deliver. And it will be shorted and it will be failed. At what point in the price and the volatility next week will that happen? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not making any of those kind of firm predictions. I think there'll be some jockeying around. There'll be some jockeying around once the warrants are distributed. There'll be some shorts that need to pick up warrants to meet an obligation. And there'll be, I think, plenty of institutions selling the warrants. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the demand versus supply looks. So I'm not smart enough to predict anything other than, expect a little bit of volatility when they start trading. UK Dave, how you doing? Al says, how about selling all my GameStop and buying GME warrants in its place? I mean, you're going to have a tax bill when you sell all your GameStop. And there's no guarantee that those warrants will ever go in the money. And I hope they do. I hope that Ryan Cohen and GameStop have some plan to announce something that they're doing with the cash, the $8.7 billion in the next 12 months. I think that could, that is my bull thesis for GameStop. Ryan Cohen and GameStop announcing that they do something with the cash could ignite a real bonfire under this ticker. I can't guarantee that, but that is my speculative bet. And if that doesn't happen, your warrants are just going to theta decay and you'll lose time value and they'll slowly tick down. But I don't think GameStop would have really issued warrants if they didn't have some belief that the price could go over 32. I could be wrong. I mean, we looked at 7 other tickers over the weekend, if you watched my video, and there were companies that have issued warrants where they haven't been really able to get their price over the strike price. I don't think GameStop is in the same boat as some of those companies. But the other thing to keep in mind, just, talking through this whole thing, I know we're kind of bouncing all over the place. Even the companies that are well in the money, well over their strike price on the warrants, most of those warrants have not been exercised. And if you want to know why that is, go watch my video called No Exercise Early. I know there's a lot of push on social media for y'all to exercise your warrants as soon as possible. Sometimes I wonder, does GameStop pay people to put out bad advice like that? I don't know. What do y'all think? Seems a little sus, encouraging people to make the wrong decision. Like if GameStop ran up to 40 and my warrants were in the money by $8 plus I had $4 of time value, I could make 8 plus 4, $12 per warrant, or I could just trade it in for nothing and spend $32 and buy a share. That would then be $8 in the money. $12, $8. Which one seems like a better deal? Sell the warrant all day long. But you're gonna hurt GameStop. You're not gonna help them raise 1.9 billion. Look, that if I sell a warrant, someone else is gonna buy it. That guy can worry about giving his money to GameStop. I'm trying to maximize my returns. That's not any particular advice to you. You do whatever you want. If you want to leave money on the table, by all means, knock yourself out. There'll be plenty of people giving you that advice. Leave that money on the table, guys. Exercise those warrants. Okay. No, exercise early. It's something you can Google. You can throw it in ChatGPT or Grok. This is well-known finance theorems. Anybody saying otherwise is just giving you advice out of their own selfishness, I think. They want to encourage you not to think about yourself, think about GameStop. GameStop's giving me a dividend because they want to reward me. Am I going to leave that reward on the table? I don't know. I think they're giving it to me to maximize the reward. Dave says, do you think they buy more Bitcoin? Maybe if Bitcoin drops, Dave. What are we at today? 113. This is just my opinion. I don't think Ryan Cohen's in a rush to buy Bitcoin. I think he did it to check a box for some investors, and he's kind of probably patiently analyzing what's going to happen with Bitcoin. If it runs up, he's got $500 million. I mean, if Bitcoin were to double and he brings in another 500 million, that was a pretty good investment. If Bitcoin tanks, he's not that hurt. He could even lower his cost basis and go buy in some more. I saw some other people, speaking of lowering your cost basis and buying some more, I'm seeing this other social media narrative that GameStop should do a share buyback right now. What? No. I mean, I get it. Some of y'all want to see the company reduce the share count, but they're issuing warrants. They're issuing convertible bonds. These are all things to bring money into the company, and it will drive the share count up. They're clearly not interested in reducing the share count, especially at these prices. It makes no sense. The time that it would have made sense when GameStop was down around $10, not up here. No. Carlton, what's up? He says Ryan Cohen should merge or acquire something like Unity Software. I mean, I'm not smart enough to know what is the right acquisition, Carlton, but something. Yes. You can't just sit there forever and not invest that money. And I don't think that is their plan. Let's be clear. The bears, the meltdowners, as some people call them, think that Ryan Cohen's just taking retail for a ride, and he's going to keep on soaking everybody for cash until he's got 20 billion. Maybe he will. I mean, maybe he will keep raising money, but I don't think it is for a nefarious purpose. That's my belief. I think he has some intention to do good with the money for long-term shareholders. I always leave room, that I could be wrong on my assessment of Ryan Cohen as benevolent. I don't think he's trying to deliver anybody a short squeeze. I think he's trying to set the company up to deliver value to long-term shareholders. I think he has good intentions, but you must be smart as you navigate these waters. Al says, maybe a dumb question. There is never a dumb question, Al. He says, anyone can buy GME warrants. You don't have to be a GME stockholder. That is correct, Al. Starting on Tuesday, assuming that they are distributed on the 7th, which we have no reason to expect that they won't be, then you will be able to buy them as long as your broker allows you to buy warrants. Check with your broker today, and you still got time to get another account set up if you really want to buy warrants and maybe your current broker doesn't allow it. You'll be able to buy them under the ticker GMEWS. And they will trade and they will go up and down in price with the a couple of things. They'll go up and down in price based on the underlying ticker, the supply and demand of the warrants themselves, and the theta, how much time is left on the warrant. Theta, as you guys know, just like options, declines over time. But if the ticker is going up, then you can hopefully offset that burn. The other thing you could do, I mean, I think these warrants are going to behave, you know, because your question is, could you go buy the warrants? They're going to behave very much like a October $32 leap. If you go to the options chain right now and look what is out there, around that time, you've got these 16 October calls. Look at this. They're trading at $32. They're trading at $4.80 to $5.10 bid and ask. That's a rough proxy of what the warrants will be trading at. And you could just go buy this leap. I mean, you don't have to wait for the warrants to be distributed. If you want the right to buy GameStop at $32, you have this vehicle right here. What GameStop is doing is rewarding current shareholders with some free leaps, if you will. This would cost you $500 to go buy it right now. You're going to get them for free next week. This is I'm doing some computational math in my head here, because the leap is on, it's going to be, the deliverable will be 100 shares and 10 warrants. Keep that in mind also, by the way, all of these options that you see on here, on Friday, they'll change to GME1. You see right here where it says October 26th. What was that one? Was that PW? Hang on one second. There will be a new options chain, and all of these existing ones will change to GME1. I was going to show you all an example of PBR. PBR did not do a warrant, but they do have some non-standard options. I don't know if I have it enabled where I can see them. Here we go. See, your broker, this is what I'm saying. These existing options might not they're going to be non-standard starting on Friday. And you're going to need to go into your broker and make sure if they have this box that you tick the box to see them. A lot of times it's not even ticked by default. And therefore, in the eyes of many people, these options are going to disappear. But if you have the non-standard box checked, you'll be able to see this week's, what will become the old GameStop warrants. They'll have a GME1 just like this as PBR1. So make sure you go into your settings of your broker and make sure you have non-standard turned on. Otherwise, you're going to think all your options disappeared. Non-standard options, because a lot of people aren't going to be aware of them, will have, and they're not going to be as popular. The standard options chain will come in back next week. They will have less liquidity. Because they have less liquidity, they'll have wider spreads, and they might not give you as optimal a trade as the new options chain. Just something to think about as you're deciding what to do with your options. I personally don't want to mess with having any GME1, so if I buy any options, do any options trading, I will wait till the new options chain is out. Dan says you get them free, but at the cost of the stock plummeting right after. I mean, I don't know if plummeting is what we'll see, Dan. Well, there will be an adjustment down for the value of the warrant, right? Whenever dividends are given out by companies, the price will drop down by the value of the dividend. And so for these warrants, you know, we're expecting that to be maybe like 30 to 50 cent price adjustment down on GME. If a warrant covers 10 shares and it's worth $3, you know, divide by 10, 30 cents per share. But we might not notice that, depending on what's going on with GameStop's volatility that day. But if you're talking about the buy the rumor, sell the news, you know, that could happen too. I don't know. I hope not. Jen, thank you. Thank you. Blessed Beyond says, you're so correct about the RLAIF channel guy. About a month ago, I suggested that everyone wait for the price to come down to the 50 SMA and got banned. Yeah, and they called me paid by the shorts for what? Saying be patient, you can get it cheaper. That's paid by the shorts, huh? I remember that guy, Blessed, telling people to go all in at 69 cents. And because I said, hey, how about be patient? Now look, you could have bought 50% more just by waiting a few weeks. But I'm the bad guy. Okay. Hopefully you guys watched the video. If you're in Railtown, a Canadian AI company, pre-revenue, waiting on a press release, speculative ticker. But I did put out a video yesterday on the TELUS news. TELUS opening a sovereign AI data center. TELUS is big up in Canada. Telecom company. Now they're going to have their own AI data center, their own data hosting available to all these AI companies. Massive investment backed by the government. I think that's super exciting news. It'd be great for Railtown to go ahead and drop their news this week. Come on, Railtown, don't leave us hanging. Dan says, that's how it always works with GME. I've been in this for years. I don't disagree with you, Dan. I mean, you probably painfully remember all the hype around the split dividend. I saw it I was living it right there with you. I was long the stock, and I saw all this, the same hype and bad DD that I'm seeing about these warrants. They're going to have to find the shares, blah, blah, blah. Billions of synthetics. The float's been sold 10 times over. I said, you know what? If it runs up into this split dividend, I'm just going to sell. And I did. That is the day I began my swing trading of GameStop. Sold, captured that high, waited a while for it to come back down, rebought. And that was kind of like a good aha moment that, you know, you just got to look at social media as entertainment, because most of these guys, they put stuff out just to hear themselves talk. They have no idea what they're talking about. Howdikin says, will the stock price adjustment move affect currently held options? Yep. Current options, today's GME call options, for example, or puts. Remember, when the warrant dividend gets distributed, the stock price is going to go down. That would be an unfair advantage to someone who sold the call option, for example. Or so they go in and they adjust, because that would take the value of the options down, right? If the price of GME moves down due to the dividend distribution. But then they add in the value of the warrant to your options deliverable to make you whole again. So you're whole, but the value of the options will still be dependent on the value of GME and the warrants, which, you know, none of us can predict exactly what's going to happen. But at least, you know, by the issuance of those warrants is not going to impact you. What will impact you is the fact that they're going to become non-standard, and not everybody's going to have this box checked. And they won't see, if you're holding GME and it becomes GME1, there's a lot of people that aren't going to be able to see it next week. They're going to see the new options chain without the warrants. I'm going to leave that checked so I don't forget. I have it checked on my phone. I did not have it checked on my desktop. I'm not saying you're going to lose your ass on the GME1. Just know, and you can fact check me on this, non-standard options generally have less liquidity. There's less interest from traders, and less liquidity leads to wider spreads. So compared to a regular option that might have a very tight bid ask, you might get raped a little bit by the market maker on GME1, because there's not people clamoring to buy them, and the market maker is going to, all right, we'll buy them, but you got to make it worth our while. Here's what we're willing to pay you. It's not like you're going to lose your ass, but I'm just saying, compare the spreads between the two, GME and GME1. It's going to be less optimal for GME1. Anya is in Croatia. Good gosh. Hope you're enjoying the vacation, Anya. She says, move here if you love wine, olive oil, fish, and veggies. I'm on my way, Anya. Are you guys going to go to a beach while you're there, by the way? Dink, how you doing? OVO Rentals says, when do you have to have shares purchased by to get the warrants? By Thursday. This Thursday, the 2nd. You got to complete your purchase before market close on the 2nd. T+1, they will be in your account on Friday. The shares will be in your name. And then at the end of the day on Friday, They'll take note, and they will distribute the warrants the following week. We should see the price adjustment, I think, on Friday, and the GME 1 options chain and the new options chain GME. I believe we will see those on Friday. Chris says Wolf pulled a fast one and screwed shareholders. I mean, Chris, is it fair to say that they pulled a fast one, though? I mean, go back and watch my videos from May or June and look at the comments. Look at the comments from the Wolf shareholders. Very angry at me for pointing out where Wolf Speed said, you know, you could have a life-changing loss, basically, is what they said. They said this probably is not going to work out well if you choose to hold common stock. They were very clear about it. Who was not clear? Everybody on social media, hyping it up. The company was brutally clear that you were going to be brutalized if you held that stock. What we didn't know with Wolf Speed is, even me, when I made my videos in May and June, I couldn't answer what is, in the bankruptcy process, what is Wolf Speed going to be valued at? Not so much, turns out. Not so much. And then the valuation was reduced, and then you only got 3% of that. Ouch. That's where people got screwed. But I mean, that's the gamble. I mean, we didn't know what Wolf Speed was going to be valued at. It turns out not so much. Chris says my new Wolf price average is 274. Ouch. Hey, Chris, can you do a quick calculation for me if you held shares all the way through? What was the divisor? Like if you had 1,000 shares last week, how many did you wake up to on Monday? And it was not a reverse split. It was a recapitalization and a pro rata distribution. But it's not clear to me what the math worked out. Anya says the beaches here are rocky. But I heard they're pretty, Anya. Don't forget, that is where the International Kizomba Fest is every summer. Production crew says the price of GME shares will be lower technically. Anytime a dividend is distributed, the price is reduced. That is a fact, including a warrant dividend. Let's say the warrant is worth $4. GameStop's not going to go down $4 because the warrant covers 10 shares. But if the warrant were worth $4, you would see a 40-cent adjustment down on GameStop. But that might immediately be eaten up by volatility, people trading the stock. So you might not even notice it. Or you might. I don't know. We'll find out. That's why I'm covering this. This is fascinating stuff. We don't get too many opportunities to watch warrant distributions like this. Only 7 I could find in the last 5 years. And now we got 2 happening at the same time, GameStop and Bed Bath & Beyond. I think the maybe it will be more noticeable in Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. We'll find out. How will the warrants affect holding bought puts? I would recommend that you go in and read the OCC memo. What's your strike price, Dan? If you have bought puts, say with a $22 strike, What the other thing I'd ask is what's your strike price and what was your strategy buying the put? Like, were you hoping it drops below that so you could make more money? Let me see if I can pull that memo up. This memo is funny too, because a lot of people are saying the OCC, you know, they're telling everybody that hell is about to freeze over. You better be aware of the risks, you short sellers. Look at this. Pages of warnings. Delayed settlement, exercise considerations, special risks. I just want to reassure you guys, if you have not been following this channel over the last week, this is word for word, boilerplate, standard text on any warrant distribution. I went back 5 years and look, they all look exactly like this. There's nobody is putting out any special warnings because of GameStop. It's so funny. Tell me you haven't done any actual due diligence without saying it. Tell me that this is unique. Tell me this is, what's the word they use? Let's see what it says here about. Holders of short put positions who are assigned will be required to purchase GME stock whose value may have been substantially diminished. Dan says $20 strike. All right. Anya says, what festival is that? Kizomba, Anya. Kizomba. They also do salsa and bachata, but I think they have them on separate weeks, back to back. Hang on one second. Refill my water. Four minutes to go here. Dan says all right. Dan says he's got a $20 strike. I got to think through this every time, Dan, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. So I'm having Grok double check. It gets complicated. I understand your concern about what exactly is your obligation going to be, and you should double check with AI or your broker, whatever I'm telling you. It says if you exercise the put, which I doubt that you're going to do that, you will deliver 100 GME shares and receive 10 warrants. It gets mind-numbing confusing. Chris says 100 shares of Old Wolf is equivalent to 0.835 of new shares. Ouch. That is brutal, Chris. Carrie says, where do you get the box to check for deliverables? Are you talking about on the options chain, Carrie? Yeah. So go to if you're on Webull, every broker is different. Pull up your options chain. You have regular, weekly, quarterly, and then you have this filter box. Make sure you have non-standard checked. Otherwise, you're going to see that your options disappeared. One minute to go. We're at 27.24. Not a bad day today. Even hit 27.34 here in the last few minutes. I was hoping we'd push all the way to 28 today, but they decided to take it down. They... Who's they? Dan, it looks like it would not put you in a short position. Other than, you know, if you were exercised on, you have your normal obligation. For me, you know, thinking about options or buying additional warrants next week would be when I consider doing that. I'm not trying to mess around with any GME options. I rarely do options on GameStop anyways. You know, if Roaring Kitty were here, I might buy some out of the money calls just for fun, but mostly I think it's a waste of money. I'd rather have shares. However, you know, if I think about my logic here, my thesis is over the next 12 months, GameStop will do something interesting with their cash, and that is why they're issuing these warrants to shareholders. Maybe it's worth buying a LEAP or holding a warrant. See what happens. Robert says, I don't know how Robinhood will fulfill warrants. The problem is, Robert, the company is not likely to issue the 424B2 filing until the day of the warrant distribution. And a lot of these brokers are reluctant to give you firm answers until they see the filing. I know that sucks. From what I saw on Robinhood and other tickers like ENVX, people were worried that they weren't going to get their warrants. They did get their warrants in Robinhood. I have been seeing a lot of brokers putting out notices saying, you'll get your warrants, you will not be able to exercise them with us. You could sell them. You know, for a lot of people, that's going to end up being the smarter decision anyways. You're going to make more money selling it than exercising it, because of that time value. Again, I'm going to keep saying this, not because I want to encourage you to sell your warrants. I want you to, before you make a decision, at least understand A versus B. Exercising a warrant, if the stock was at 40 bucks, you'll get a share that's $8 in the money. But your warrant would be worth that same $8 plus the time value. If 12 months are left on the warrant, that could be another $4 a share. Maybe you don't care about that, but at least understand A versus B. Yeah, Dan. Dan says he had an iron condor on AMC and got options exercised after hours on Friday, putting me in a 10,000 share short position. That can be traumatizing, Dan. Never had that happen to me. I have had, I think the worst that I've ever had happen, Dan, is, and it's just part of the game, right? When you're running the wheel on different stocks, you try and pick a strike where you don't think, well, you maximize your income from selling the option, but you don't think that the stock will quite get there because you'd like to keep the option premium and your shares. There have been a couple times over the years where I've lost shares, but you know, them's the breaks. Don't sell covered call options if you're not willing to part with your shares or know how to roll them. All right, let's, since the market closed here, let's look at a couple of tickers. Bed Bath & Beyond up 6%, not bad. GameStop closed the day up 0.25%. Wolf up 30%. I don't know if y'all heard my little speech when we started this live stream, but I think a lot of retail short squeezed themselves on this ticker. And you can go to the Wolf Speed forum on Reddit and see what I'm talking about. People that their broker had not readjusted their share count were selling a massive quantity of shares because they thought they had immediate riches when it repriced. They didn't realize they had lost 99% of their shares. And then when their broker updated their share count, they just realized they had gone 99% short. Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with this. And there's some other messages going around that a market maker got screwed over on this. I don't know about that. Market makers aren't that dumb. I mean, it's possible. But, you know, regular traders, we saw it happen with COSM. We saw it again with Wolf. The broker was a little slow in updating and correcting the share count. They saw the price was up. Sell all 10,000 Wolf. I'm going to be a millionaire. Ooh, man. Now you just went 9,914 shares short at $14. Ouch. Movie theater stocks today. AMC and Dolby in the red. AMC down 3%. Punishing day for AMC. I know a lot of people have been really excited over the past couple days because it went up to 307 on the Taylor Swift news. Yeah, the shorts pushed it back down. Taylor Swift, I mean, that's going to be cool. It's an extra 30 to 50 million bucks for the industry. I'm not really sure why people are trying to make it into a life-changing event. 30 or 50 million on a slow October. It's better than not having 30 or 50 million. But there's other much bigger movies that are going to help Q4. Meanwhile, we got to get to that proxy, see what's up with that. I'll do a Q3 AMC update October 1st or 2nd when the Q3 box office closes. And I'll give you my rough estimate of how much money they're going to lose for Q3. Dolby in the red. Dolby and Dolby, Cinemark, and IMAX, all they're going to be great stocks for the next year into increasing box office. AMC might be, but I can't say. I can't say until I see what's on the proxy. How much dilution are they going to float? Open down 2.8%. Quantum $16. GNS just hanging at 97. I saw that Genius Group. These are some of the meme stocks I'm watching. Not any recommendations here. I saw that GNS added 2 new people to its board, including what's his name, Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Didn't really seem to do much for the price. It ran it up to $1.06, and then they just smacked it right back down. Good try, Roger. Didn't work. Gold and silver today. Oh, don't forget, government shutdown at midnight tonight. Our junior gold mining basket up almost 1%. Silver up just a fraction, 0.10%. Hycroft down 2%, 620. Hopefully, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens when they announce their study here in the next, October, in the next 3 months. And before we part ways today, let me just see if there is any Railtown press release. News releases, nothing since July. CSE filings, nothing. Cedar filings, nothing. Well, maybe by the end of this week, we'll get some news. The good thing about not promising dates is you don't have to spend your entire day doing live streams explaining how corrupt the lawyers are or inept management is, or how they want to keep the price down and steal your shares. It's a complicated deal they're putting together. They'll announce it when they are ready. I am confident it will be soon. I don't know how the market will like the deal, but I am hopeful the market is going to love the deal. Imagine going from a no revenue company to instant revenue. That's what we're looking here. Ticker is OTC, RLAIF. In Canada, trades under the ticker RAIL, RAIL. For you degenerate gamblers out there like me looking for a cheap little side bet, a cheap side piece, check that one out. You can't buy it on every broker in the US. You can buy it on the big brokers for sure. But it is speculative. It's pre-revenue. It's a bet on a acquisition, and anything can happen, good or bad. So don't blame me. I do have a long position, but if you decide to go in, don't blame me if it don't work out. Which Firefly are we looking at? Dink. The fuck happened to this one? Rocket Anomaly. Oh, is that? I thought when you were saying Firefly goes boom, you were like the stock price was rocketing up. testing in Briggs, Texas, first stage of the Alpha Flight 7 rocket experienced an event that resulted in a loss of the stage. We had a, what do they call it? An unexpected rapid disassembly. Yeah, them's the breaks when you're betting on rocket companies. Six Sun says, what can you tell us about BKKT? Man, I haven't looked at that one in a while, Six Sun, but remember when we were looking at it back in the day, it got crushed. And then when the crypto revival happened, it started coming back. I bet, I'm going to look here in just a second. I bet if we would have held it all along that we would have ended up being okay. No, we still wouldn't have been whole. Oh man, no, we would not have been whole unless you bought in at the low of May of 2024. I'm glad I didn't look back at that company. I tried to trade it a little bit in, I forget, 2021 or 2022, but at some point I had to say, this is not a good hold, and move on from BKKT. I don't really have any comments that I could share with you that would be useful, because other than, I mean, this little chart momentum here looks interesting, but I haven't looked at this ticker in years. $8 to $33 sure looks nice. They must have had not even good earnings. What the fuck happened? That was 9/22. Maybe we got some news here. They added somebody to the board. Really? I mean, maybe. Seems a little overdone. What do I know? Wild Wendell, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. What happened to IROH stock? Let's see. Not familiar with that ticker. Holy smoly. Down 60%. Did y'all see some of those, by the way, some of those Chinese companies that the SEC halted trading on because of social media manipulation? Iron Horse Acquisitions is a blank check company, so it's a SPAC. Yeah, it was trading around $10 and it dropped for no reason. Well, there's got to be a filing, right? Let's check. IROH. No. Yeah, no idea. No clues. No filing. Somebody knows something. The answer is crime. Somebody knows something. Some news. Watch the news on this ticker in the next 24 hours. Anya says, RLAIF is my bet on 0 on the roulette wheel. that pays higher odds if we hit, right, Anya? Yeah, Iron Horse, Wendell. Generally, those SPACs, until they announce who they're going to merge with, they'll trade right around $10. When they announce that they have a good merger candidate, often you see them spike up. If it spiked down, I would just imagine that somebody knows who they're proposing to merge with, and either they don't like it or it's not going to work out. Cordero Cavazos, how you doing? How you doing? All right. Any other last minute questions? Don't forget, what happened to our friend Juan? He says, I only answer questions according to the script. So come up with your best non-scripted questions. If I don't know, I'm just going to tell you I don't know. Not because it's not on the script. I just don't know every single ticker. I'm happy to look at them, even analyze financials, but I might not know the history of every one of the thousands and thousands of stocks out there. Yeah, 27, 28, that's a good close. Cordero, I was hoping, that we could possibly see 28 today, but they decided to push it down a little bit this morning. We got this overhang that is going to afflict the markets called a government shutdown. And I think it is uncertain how that is going to impact the markets. And there are probably some people hitting the pause button on buying or hedging their positions in case the market takes a little nosedive at midnight. We'll find out. Often though, right, we see these last minute, Congress makes a last minute deal. 11:59, we saved the day. We saved the day by putting this off for 60 more days. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Cordero, we're still above the, I don't look at the 20, I look at the 50 and the 200 on the daily. I'm trying to take a more long-term look at GameStop. And as long as we're above the 200 and the 50, I like it. I'd like to see this 200, this pink line, stay as support into next week. The higher we can go above it, even if GameStop takes a little dip, once the warrants are distributed, maybe we can hold here above 26. That'd be cool. And on the weekly, we're well above both the 50 and the 200. We're running out of days for the one guy bet me that the warrant short squeeze would happen on or before October 3rd. Well, couple days away. I'm still bullish up until those days. I mean, no reason not to be. What happens after the warrant ex-dividend date or distribution date, I am not making any firm calls. I feel good that we were bullish from September 9th up until October 3rd. We'll see what happens after that. Dink says during the shutdown, historically, the markets only went up. All right, Dink, we're going to cross our fingers. Wendell says, hope for news for GameStop. I would love some Ryan Cohen GameStop acquisition investment news just to juice this thing after those warrants are issued. And I'm not saying the news needs to come out on October 7th. Anytime in the next 12 months would be cool with me. You don't hear me say, these sort of things very often, but, if I'm looking for a catalyst for GameStop, investing that cash will, if it's done right, enable us to revalue the ticker, revalue earnings, revalue all the use of cash ratios, financial efficiency ratios. Could be really exciting if they play their cards right. So I think that is the primary thing to be speculatively bullish on. And then, the day-to-day stuff, they got profitable. They're lowering costs. They're still closing stores. Q4, higher revenues coming up. There's some operational things to be bullish about. But I think, what is really going to send this thing leg up to whatever the next price level is use of cash. And you might disagree with me if you're bearish on GameStop. That's fine. But I think if you're bullish on GameStop, that is really the only thing to be talking about. What are they going to do with this cash? That is a potential powder keg if properly deployed. Wedmore says, I want RC to come out with a joint statement with Roaring Kitty. Keith Gill added to the board. Can you imagine how insane people would go? Wendell says, I think that could be it. Only thing that makes sense. They stressed it numerous times about those options. Are you talking about the warrants? I think, the other, as I saw someone commenting about this, maybe on Reddit or maybe on X, but the other thing that I thought it was a good comment, an insightful one. Since they issued the warrants, or they're issuing the warrants, that probably tells us that they're not likely to do another ATM. That kind of makes sense. Do you guys agree? Let's say the price runs up to $40. Normally what Ryan would do is announce an ATM, sell some shares, or sell more bonds. But now maybe we don't have to worry about an ATM for the next year, because if the price runs up, he's got 1.9 billion of extra money he can make from warrants being exercised. I don't have any thoughts on what they could invest in, Dan. I think it should be something gaming adjacent, and I would like it to be something not brick and mortar. Those would be my preferences. So, someone earlier said Unity software. Something like that. I'd like it to be adjacent to their area of expertise, to their customer set, and I'd like it to not be burdened by brick and mortar. So I have my wish list. I don't know, how many companies fit that. I don't know. Or they could invest in a cannabis company and then do a joint announcement with AMC that cannabis will now be allowed in all theaters. I just had to work that in because and Tesla chargers will go in the parking lots. And GameStop kiosks will be in every auditorium. Not every auditorium, every lobby. I'm just teasing with all that. Just teasing. It is funny though that people tell AMC to put Tesla chargers in the parking lots. Like AMC's just leasing the building in the parking lot. They don't have any right to put a Tesla charging station in the parking lot. Go talk to the landlords. Nike says GameStop and Curaleaf, that is the way to go. All right, I'm going to look into that one. Wedmore says, would an investment in a data center be a good move? I mean, AI is super popular right now, Wedmore. And anything with AI, I like that idea too. How do you turn it into earnings would be the question. Like, right, there's a ton of people throwing money into AI investments, but I don't know that they've all figured out how to monetize it yet. So how the market would take that. Most people that are investing in AI, their stock seems to be doing well, but at some point you gotta create earnings off of that. So we'll see. Anya says, how's Scarlett's birthday month going? Hope you are still celebrating. She just popped in the other room over here, Anya. I did pass on to her, and we had a good laugh. I said, baby, Anya is telling me that I need to make sure you have an entire month of celebration, not just a birthday, a birth month. And she appreciated the sentiment, Anya. But it's going well. It's going well, going well. Speaking of Scarlett, she's got to go to work here in a couple. I'm talking about you over here, babe. She's got to go to work here in a couple hours, Anya. She's working a night shift at the hospital now for the time being. So I'm going to go ahead and close this live stream up, and we'll see about doing one later this evening. If you're still awake, I know, Anya, if you're over there in Croatia, you might not be awake, and that's cool. But we'll have some more market close live streams as we count down these last 7 days. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell, turn on those notifications. You don't want to miss these live streams, and bring your questions. I'm happy to do my best to help you guys out. Thank you, and we will see you on the next one.
A red candle down by the dip, got a hold on the ground. We've been waiting for so long, edges rain will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down by the dip, got a hold on the ground. Edges gains up. If you love it, buy a share. A green candle up, a red candle down by the dip, got a hold on the ground. We've been waiting for so long, we'll soon be gone. A green by the dip, gains are dead and go up the shore. Candle up, a red candle down by the dip, got a hold on the ground. We've been waiting for so long, where these rains will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down by the dip, got a hold on the ground. These gains are dead and gone, but the shore we're going along. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, buy a share. Green candle up and red candle down by the dip, got a hold on the ground. Hedges gains are dead and gone. GameStop's rising, going strong. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, show you care. you doubt it, sit instead. If you love it, buy a share.